All right, so I said that I would do some reviews of some additional planners that I found. I will tell you all of these ones, I just went and I found them on Amazon, ordered them for myself. I am a huge Amazon person. I'm sorry if you're not, but I just really like the convenience of being able to order stuff and have it show up at my door. So the one that we're gonna look at right now is this one. It's called I'm Dead, Now What? And let's see if I can find. This is by Peter Popper Press. Oh, let's try and say that 5 times fast. Anyway, so this one is about $13 on Amazon. It was like $12.99 and was sent to me. And so this has a nice hardcover, but inside it is still just the rings like this. And then it has there, so you guys can see all of the different tabs that are included inside of this binder. Now, one of the issues, the first major issue that I have with this is that this requires you to either print stuff out and, you know, have a craft project like scrapbooking with all of your information, or you're gonna have to write it all down. And that could be problematic if you have terrible handwriting, or if you don't feel like filling out 100 pages of handwritten information, or if things change frequently, right? If your bank accounts or account numbers or so forth change frequently, that could be an issue. So that's one thing that I would say. Another thing similar to, and I will probably say this about just about every planner that we look at, is that this is not state specific, right? So it's not going to tell you what you need in your state in order to avoid probate or to pass things on or any of those types of things, all right? But it does have some good, it has a lot of things in here that are helpful for things for you to think about, right? So in the very beginning, it starts off with personal information, and we all know that, but things like your legal name or your birth name, that could be important, right? Your place of birth as well. If somebody needed to get a birth certificate for you, they're going to need to know where you were born, as well as what your given name was at birth. If you have legally changed your name since then you're going to want to make sure that there are copies of that documentation, or at least information about that documentation, available to people as well. I actually have this with a client where her name changed so many times, and what's on her driver's license doesn't necessarily match what's on her adoption papers, which also doesn't necessarily match what's on her birth certificate. And so we have to kind of figure out how to prove that this person, you know, on the birth certificate and in the will is this person on the driver's license, and it's not always easy. So if you did have any sort of a name change or anything, make sure that you are making that information available to people, and make sure that you have the paperwork to go from one name to the next so that they can follow that along in case that becomes an issue. Okay, so personal information. The other issue obviously with writing down all of your personal information is that it's all in one place, right? So with identity theft and other things, that could be a problem. Just make sure that if you are putting all of that information together for your loved ones, which I do recommend, that it is somewhere safe, right? So put it into a safe, into a fireproof, encrypted on a external hard drive that you put into a locked, you know, safe somewhere, safety deposit boxes, any of those types of things. All right, and then it goes into medical information, which again is great, except that writing down your medical information for people is nice, but it won't actually hold any weight with your doctors when you go and they need somebody to make decisions for you if you can't. You really do have to have either an advanced healthcare directive, or sometimes it's called a living will. And also a lot of doctors or hospitals and other medical organizations, they have their own forms that they might want you to fill out, right? So find out, again, what is right for you in your space and with the people that you're dealing with. Generally, an advanced healthcare directive or a living will be acceptable just about anywhere, even if they have their own personal forms. Another thing that it has in here is key contact information, and it's saying things like your executor, your attorney, your accountant, tax preparer, you know, all of those types of things. Again, super great information to have. But if you had a will or a trust prepared with an attorney, hopefully their information is on the paperwork already, so you might not need to write it down. Same thing with if you have copies of a statement or of an account, etc., which is what I usually recommend for clients instead. It's pretty easy. You open an account with anybody, you take the very first statement and stick it with your stuff. You close an account, then you can pull that statement out, right? You don't have to actually keep those updated over and over again. I don't need the most current statement, but your statement that you get from someplace is going to have all of your account information on it, who to contact, how to get in touch with them, etc. And so if the account is open, there should be a statement in your paperwork, and if the account is closed, then you can get rid of it because it's no longer necessary, right? So it doesn't have to be updated every month, but it does need to be updated when you open or close something. So key contacts. All right, then it has in here things about, at the time of my passing, please contact, and it's got room for you to put family members, friends, their contact information, etc. I mean, I guess that's important, but most of us, we've got cell phones or we've got other ways that we're keeping track of that. To me, this feels like sort of extraneous, and it feels like like an old school address book, but maybe you like that, which is fine if you do. Let's see. And then it has things about regarding your arrangements, if you've made any, where you're supposed to be buried, the funeral home you want to use, etc. Again, all great. And quite frankly, I recommend that you go and you talk to somebody at a funeral home in your area sooner rather than later, because the cost of funerals doubles every about 7 years, right? So, and most places, they'll let you pick everything that you want to do now, they'll price it out for you, and they will put you on a payment plan to get it paid off. And they just let you pay over time, but then when you pass, it's already paid for, nobody has to come up with that money, and you might be paying like 1980s prices for a 2025 burial. I don't know about you, but I would much rather pay 1980s prices for just about everything at this point. Let's see. It does have things in here about dependents and stuff. Again, most of that information should be included in your estate planning documents already, the ones that you're doing. Just putting it here isn't going to do much other than to make sure that, people are getting in touch with them. But people's information changes so often. Again, I'm not 100% certain that I like writing it all down by hand. Important documents, it talks about a will, but it doesn't talk about a trust. In California, at least, I really recommend a trust for most of my clients. Driver's license, passport, birth certificate, if you happen to have it, marriage certificate, address books, etc. Information on your computer, but that's it. It's not, there's a lot of other important paperwork that I think that it's missing here. Let's see, it also has a bunch of information, again, about credit cards and financial information. Statements, guys. Statements is a whole lot easier versus having to write this all down. Maybe you transpose a number, etc. And then it's got business information. And then, you know what? It does have some other things. It's got beneficiaries, personal property, insurance, pets, what to pay, close and cancel, email, social media, miscellaneous, and then my wishes, and last words. So again, I think that it might be helpful for sort of putting you in the right direction of what to look for, but these are not legally binding, what you put into these types of planners. So you can write it all down here and you can put it all in one place to make it easy for your loved ones to, just have one thing to kind of go look for. But this is not actually going to keep you out of probate. It's not actually going to make sure that the things that are in here is what happens after you pass, right? This is just an organizational tool. It's not an actual estate plan. And so I just want to make sure that everyone is aware of that there is a big limitation here in what a planner like this can